Hi and welcome to the Beginner Yin Yoga course, Level 1, Day 4. Today we are doing a very wonderful sequence that can be a bit challenging, but also trust me, it's going to feel really good for your body because you can go as deep into these poses as you want. There is nothing to prove. So let's get started. We're going to begin in deer pose. Now for deer pose, I want you to create a 90-90 angle with your legs. So align the front shin with the top of your mat, flex the foot, and also here at the knee you are forming a 90-degree angle. The back leg also forms a 90-degree angle in the hip, in the knee, and in the foot. Now if this is too much, because it might be too much, don't worry at all. We will just bring the front foot in, and this will be much easier because right here I want you to pay attention to your hip. Right now the left hip is lifted, and this is really what we want. So you can keep the foot like this or extend it out in front of you at a 90-degree angle. Just make sure that your feet are flexed because this is really going to protect your knee. Now what I want you to do, because in a full expression of deer pose we are going into a twist, which we won't be doing just today, but I want you to walk your hands back, almost at the diagonal, and you will see that your left hip starts to come down. And that's what I want you to focus on here. The main thing is to keep your back nice and long. You can bend the elbows, just don't hunch in the back. So keep your back long. You don't have to go too far back. Just feeling the stretch in your left hip. And we're going to be here for around a minute. We don't have to overdo ourselves just yet, because we will be getting deeper and longer into the poses as we build that foundation, so that nothing is forced, that your body is ready, and that you can actually enjoy the longer Yin Yoga sequences. So settle in. Keep bringing that left hip back, imagining length through your spine, and breathe. Begin to deepen your breaths, signaling to your body that we are about to move. And then just walk your hands back in to straighten. You can sit with your knees facing the ceiling and your feet towards the edges of the mat. Lean back on your hands and just do a few windshield wiper motions. So you're lowering both knees to the right and to the left. It doesn't matter how far you go, it's just a very nice hip release. And we're going to do deer on the other side. This time the left leg is in front. Adjust it so that your left shin is parallel to the edge of your mat. And then bring the right leg back. You can see how it looks from this side now. Make sure that your feet are flexed, that everything is at a 90-degree angle. And again, if it's too much to keep the front foot at 90 degree, just bring it in. And that is also absolutely perfect. So once you get nice and settled into this position, walk your hands back at a diagonal and bringing the right hip towards the mat this time. So feeling the stretch in the front of your right hip and the hip flexor. Your back is nice and long. And we'll be here for a minute to even out the sides. Begin to deepen your breath and slowly walk your hands in, straighten yourself. And again, we can do a few windshield wiper motions. Widen your feet toward the edges of the mat, lean back on your hands and just drop the knees to one side. The opposite hip lifts and to the other side. Just releasing some of the tension that might have accumulated. Perfect. Now for the next pose, I want you to straighten your legs and sit nice and tall. We will be going into a caterpillar. Now, if this really is super uncomfortable, even in this position, you can roll your mat so that your hips are slightly lifted. Just make sure that you're sitting on the edge, and that will tilt your pelvis forward. So this might be a really good thing to do if just sitting straight is uncomfortable for you. However, if you are fine sitting straight, then please do. You can manually lift your glutes, push them a bit back, up and back, and that also assists. Flex the feet because we want to stretch a bit in the back line. And now for our caterpillar or forward fold, as is more commonly known in yoga, because this is a yin practice, we won't really be actively leaning forward, but we will be passively curving. So I do want you in the beginning to try and hinge from the hip so that the low back is straight, and then just fold down. Let gravity do the work. You don't have to go far. Even if you are up here and folding down, that's perfect. You can use your fingertips on the mat to support yourself. That is also perfect. Just let gravity take you where it wants you to go. And you might notice that as we hold this pose, not for long, I promise, this is just an introduction, you can find yourself going deeper and deeper as your body allows more stretch. So you can be either supporting yourself with your hands, you can have them resting on your shins. If you're very flexible, you can go down to your feet or your toes, or you can let them rest on your mat. This is your time to explore. We don't have to be serious here. We are literally trying to figure out what your body wants, what feels good for you, and also exploring the stretch that this wonderful pose offers. You can also do a few no motions and yes motions with your head. This will release any tension from the back of your neck, because we also want the head to be passive. So everything here is passive. So we'll be here just for a few more breaths, and then we'll get ready to roll back up. Whenever you're ready, begin to deepen your breath and then use your hands to slowly roll yourself back up. And the head is the very last to straighten. You can bend the knees, take a few moments, a few breaths to find yourself after this pose. And we're going to make our way into Savasana, which is our final resting pose. So find your way onto your back in whichever way suits you best. Widen your legs towards the sides of the mat. Let your hands rest beside you, nice and wide, the palms facing up. Make sure that the back of the neck is long, that your chin is down and not flying up towards the ceiling. So find your own perfect expression of Shavasana. And we'll rest here for around 2 to 3 minutes. Begin to deepen your breath. Wiggle your fingers and toes. Take a nice deep stretch if that feels good. And then roll onto one side. Fetal position. And whenever you're ready, use your arms to push yourself back up into a seat. Please place your hands together at the heart in Anjali Mudra. And again, we're going to end our practice with gratitude. So close your eyes and take a moment to thank yourself. To acknowledge that you're doing amazing, that you're absolutely wonderful for showing up for yourself in this way, for continuing with this practice, for nourishing your mind, your body, and your spirit. Thank you.